Have no fear, the world is changing. Or should we have fear because the world is changing? Maybe it depends how we view it, and could we see what we choose to see from this change that's coming? Well, welcome to my weekly energy report. It's the 10th of April 2023. I'm Karen from karenturpin.com, and let's discuss these changes for a moment. Because there really is a lot of fear out there in the world right now. And at times it does look like we're facing, excuse my French, the proverbial shitstorm, and that it's coming at us real fast. It's like, it almost feels like we literally can't hold back the storm. But is the storm a positive change or a negative change? Time is definitely speeding up, and things are happening real fast. There is some astrophysics that I read somewhere some years back about the scientific reason why it looks like time is speeding up. In fact, they say time is speeding up. We talk about moving into 5D and that time speeds up because we're in a higher dimension. And when you look at the Mayan calendar, actually nobody much talks about that these days, but they had very clear steps of evolution as we moved into this time that we're in now. This is called the time of the Great Awakening. It's also called the time of the quickening, because they said that time would speed up right now. Well, we're definitely in that. If you look at the changes that have happened, particularly in the last 3 years. So is all change bad? Well, no, of course not. It's often a matter of how we view it. As our kids grow up and leave home and we become empty nesters, many people think that's a really good thing. We get a little bit more freedom, maybe a little bit more money in our pocket because we're not supporting kids anymore, that kind of thing. Some people view that as a really good change. But I've had many clients over the years tell me that they're dreading their children leaving home because they're actually going to have to talk to their husbands more. Well, clearly that potentially is a catalyst for an even bigger change, right? Because who knows where that will go in the future. So they're definitely viewing that change as a bad thing. But as I say, others view that as a good thing. There are many things that happen in the world that are beautiful, that challenge us. And sometimes we can get a little bit mixed up between what is exciting and what is scary. And when you think about leaving home to go to uni or starting a family, becoming a parent for the first time, opening your own business, this kind of thing, they're really exciting times, but they can also be a little bit scary too. So should we fear the changes that are coming in this world? Well, honestly, I've seen snippets of what they plan for us, and some of them look really scary. And quite honestly, I've had moments of thinking, oh my God, I don't want to live in a world like that. But then again, nor did anyone that lived through a war, did they? My gran didn't expect to have to rush her children down into a bomb shelter to keep them safe from bombing in World War II. That's not the life she wanted for them. But bad things do happen, and certainly nobody that lived through a war wanted that, and they would have felt that they had no power to change anything. They felt powerless. Now we have to remember that we are living through a spiritual war here. You won't see that on the mainstream, of course, but everything that they have done throughout these last 3 years is, as I've said before, a psychological operation. It's to break down our psyche, and this is all about a spiritual battle for your soul. I know that can be a little bit difficult to wrap your head around. People are attempting to stand for change in these times. In fact, they attempted to stand for change at the time of the Vietnam War. People didn't want that. Many people don't want this war in Ukraine either. However, I do believe that there is a whole different agenda to why that is going on, and I do believe in time it will be revealed. So I do feel that that one is slightly different. What we need to remember is that we the people have power. There are more of us than them, the powers that be. But we always seem to see ourselves in more of a subservient role. We do as we're told. We follow their rules and mandates, often without question. But I think now is the time to question, and we have to question everything. As I've said before, so much has been hidden from us, and we are discovering more and more by the day that's been hidden from us. We're discovering more corruption. It's all about control and greed, and that is scary when we feel that we have no power. But we do have power. We just have to orchestrate how to use that power effectively. When we look at the protests in France right now, they're massive. The French are experts at resistance. Vive la résistance, and all of that kind of thing, right? And look at the Dutch farmers. They're protesting against their government's stupid, in my opinion, emissions targets, which means that many of these farmers will have to shut down their farms. But that's their livelihood. And actually, we need to grow food, or they need to grow food to eat, right? So it is their life. No wonder they are protesting. And on we could go with examples from all around the world of the things that we, the people, do not want and do not agree to. But so there must be a tipping point at some stage, right? Because as beautiful as this world is, we really are in a bit of a mess, actually, and we do need change. But we need to craft this change carefully. And I believe that if enough conscious, awake people could come together and stand for truth and sovereignty and liberation, that we could change the world and make it a better place. I know that sounds a little bit like a Michael Jackson song. Remember that song, Heal the World? Beautiful song. Anyway, I do believe that we can make a change in this world. So as we head towards their proposed digital currency and their 15-minute smart cities and another, I've heard rumour of another pandemic that they're going to bring out in 2025 that's going to be even worse than the last one. Of course, many of us feel fear about that. This is not the world we want to live in, with all of these controls and restrictions. And yet, the more they can get the people, us, into a state of fear, the more easily they can control us, the people. Never forget that this is a PSYOP, a psychological operation, and that the last 3 years have not gone away. What's coming is just another continuation of that. These last 3 years have been the lead up to that, to see how easily manipulated as a people we really are. And unfortunately, a lot of people caved in, didn't they? Anyway, it's all about control. And the question is, are you willing to be controlled? Have you had enough over the last 3 years, or will you just succumb and continue on? I think the difference now is that so many more people have woken up and they are seeing in heartbreaking reality, in some cases, the side effects of the choices that they and their loved ones made through the last 3 years. The truth is that many people compromised their sovereignty. And when we do that, it's like a betrayal. It's actually a self-betrayal. And our soul feels it. Now, obviously, you can't go back and change what you did back then. But you can begin to forgive yourself by being really honest with yourself about your reasons for betraying yourself, for betraying your soul, for caving in. So some questions to ask yourself. Why did you do the things you did? Why did you choose what you chose? Why did you comply? Why did you follow mandates, do everything as you were told? Excuse me while I rustle my notes. By being honest with yourself like this, you can begin to understand your weakness. Now, this is not about judging you. This is not about calling you weak. The point is, this is meant to help you strengthen yourself. Because if you're going to stand with us to make this positive change in the world, you need a strong spiritual backbone. And what I see in spiritual communities is so much spiritual bypassing that no wonder people have caved in so easily, even people that I didn't expect to. So make peace with yourself for some of the choices that you've made through doing your inner work. Now, it's really not dissimilar to being in an abusive, narcissistic relationship. In this case, your partner is the government. So why do you take everything they dish out at you? Why do you never stand up and say no? And the question is, do you feel that you deserve to be treated that way as second class? We have been referred to as useless eaters by these elite people. Why do we feel that we deserve to be treated that way? You know, are you not worth more? Do you just give in to keep the peace? Do you give in because you believe you are powerless? Do you give in because you're scared? And it's okay to admit that, because this whole psychological operation of the last 3 years was specifically designed to make you feel scared, make you afraid, because people in fear are more easily controllable. And then the government can pretend to step in and save you with these miracle things that they've got. All at the same time enforcing control even more. Now, they planned this, remember. So if you caved in, if you went into fear, if you were terrified about your future and did everything that they said because of that, well, okay, admit that to yourself and say, you know, they really scared me. You might even say, geez, they really did a job on me. Whatever, this is your process. So I'm suggesting these questions to you for you to do your inner work. And actually, if everyone went inwards, and asked themselves these questions, we might actually end up with a more empowered population. But why do you think sport was still available on TV? Why do you think alcohol was still available everywhere when some people were struggling to even get food at the shops? You know, they really planned to dull people down. Give them their stupid ball games and they won't actually wake up enough to ask these questions and say, why did I cave in so easily? So this is your spiritual work. This is your spiritual development work. Ask yourself these questions. And what seems quite apt at the time, being as it's been Easter weekend, let's think about this, whether you believe this story or not. But how many people stood by and watched Jesus be crucified and said nothing? They kept their heads down to avoid being seen. They didn't want to stand out. They didn't want to be seen. You know, and how many fingers pointed and jeered at Jesus as he walked towards his death, the crucifixion? You know, people did that just to agree with their controllers, and that is Stockholm Syndrome. Just look that one up if you don't know what that is. And, you know, that's the whole point. It's almost like we've been in a space where history is repeating itself, because make no mistake, many people, many of us felt absolutely crucified by the treatment that we received over the last few years for standing for truth, just as Jesus did, in a sense. So, will you stand for truth and freedom this time around? Or will you give up your sovereignty again to a government that doesn't care for you, that lies to you, that wants to control you? It wants to control every aspect of your life, actually. The thing is, we are the ones we've been waiting for. This is a spiritual battle. I'm going to keep repeating that because this is about awakening your spirit, your soul, okay? We're the ones we've been waiting for, and nobody is coming to save us. And even though in many of these false light, new age, false ascension groups, they talk about ETs or aliens coming to save us, well, I don't really think they are in that manner. But what if we are it? What if the starseeds, the lightworkers, the awakened ones, whatever term you're comfortable in, I know people don't believe in all of those things, but regardless of that, we have had other lifetimes on other planetary systems. It's not all about the Earth. There is much more out there in those stars. So what if we are the ones? What if it is all about us waking up and stepping into the realization of all that we truly are? What if we're the ones? Well, actually, I do believe we are. There you go, I've said it. I hope that you will stand with me at this pivotal time in Earth's history, in our evolution. Because never before have we had such an immense opportunity to create a better world, because so many more people are awakened now than 3 years ago, than 5 years ago, and certainly more than 25 years ago. Quite literally, this is a global shift of consciousness. It is a dimensional shift. We can't afford to live in fear, because when we are in fear, that lowers our vibration. It makes everything so much harder. We tend to shut down when we're in fear. You know, we kind of hide a little bit. We need to expand our spirit and step into our power. And we need to come together collectively to change this world, and to anchor in a whole new reality and create the new earth together. And together we rise. That seems quite apt for this Easter Monday. I hope you will join me and step into your power and step into your mission here on earth, because so many people feel that they're here for a reason. And if you're feeling that, then you are part of this. So I hope that you will stand with me so that we can create a beautiful new earth together. I hope that's inspired you today. Now, before I finish, I just want to mention that I am starting a series of awakening and expansion spiritual development classes. They'll be running every other week. I'm open to running a couple of different time zones depending on the amount of interest. So I really want to help everybody understand this time of great awakening, what it means to be, awakening our spirit, and all of the things really that are targeted against us to hold us down and to keep us disempowered. I'm going to be opening all of that up so that you can understand it. If you're interested to join me, send me a DM and I'll give you the details of that. In this first class, which is on the 27th of April, it's going to be at 10 a.m. Sydney time. As I say, I'm open to doing a second class for a different time zone if there's interest. In this first class, we're going to be talking about intuition and discernment, because that's a really important one. So many people have been led up the garden path with all of these false light teachings, and I want to discuss all of that and how to tune in and find the right path for you. So as I said, if you're interested to join me, send me a DM and I'll give you the details. Other than that, I hope that, as I say, this little talk today has inspired you to step into your power and to step into your mission here on earth to help me and many of us create a better world. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye bye for now.